Now to a KCAL9 investigation. Across Southern California, EMTs aren't allowed to perform certain life-saving procedures when children can't breathe. Tonight, we reveal new technology that could be a game changer. KCAL9's Randy Page has more in his exclusive investigation.
911 emergency.
A 13-month-old child was choking.
When a child stops breathing,
but I wouldn't let him die.
the distance between life and death can be measured in seconds.
It all happened so fast.
2-year-old Connor Snyder's life was slipping away when a grape got stuck in his throat at the LA Zoo, and he began to turn blue.
His face looked like just one giant bruise.
This is one of those rare medical emergencies where kids like Connor go from healthy to brain damaged to dead in a matter of minutes if they don't receive life-saving oxygen. Paramedics have only two options. They can put an oxygen mask over a child's face or insert a tube into his throat and force oxygen directly into the lungs. The paramedics who tried to save Connor's life on that July afternoon of 2015 had just one option. They were only allowed to use a mask, and that grape that was stuck in his throat was preventing the oxygen from getting into his system.
Happy birthday to you.
Connor did survive, but his brain was severely damaged. Pediatrician and former paramedic Dave Van Stralen is Riverside County's former emergency medical director.
So a tube would have been his only chance at a normal
The tube
life.
is the only chance.
The decision not to allow LA County paramedics to use tubes on kids was made back in the late 1990s after LA County did a landmark and controversial study, a study we reported on back then.
Here's how the study worked. Whenever paramedics were called to a child who couldn't breathe on an odd day of the month, they were told they must use a mask. On the even days, a tube. And if the child did not respond to one procedure, paramedics were not allowed to try the other.
LA County's medical director at the time was Dr. Sam Stratton.
We found that there's no difference in the two methods as far as the outcome of the child.
So LA County decided to remove the tubes for kids from all of its ambulances, and many other counties have since followed, including San Bernardino.
Show me what the new technology gives you.
San Bernardino County Fire Chief Mark Hartwick, who's also a paramedic, wants the tubes back. He says technological advances have all but eliminated the complications LA County found in its study 2 decades ago.
So those are the cords right there.
Tiny cameras with powerful lights allow paramedics to see into the child's throat to make sure they slip the tube in between the vocal cords and into the windpipe.
You insert the tube. As you can see, it slips right into the cord.
And a new technology called capnography sounds an alarm the moment a tube slips out of place.
Do you think kids' lives could be saved if these tubes come back on your rigs?
Of course, yeah.
This is a catastrophic event that is extremely rare.
So rare, says LA City Fire's medical director, Dr. Mark Eckstein, that there is a risk paramedics will not be skilled enough to use the tubes properly.
Don't we owe it to our kids to know definitively whether or not this life-saving technique could make the difference between a child surviving and not surviving?
I think we should certainly look at it.
Dr. Eckstein says it's time for another study in light of the new technology.
Speaking for LA, we'd love to do it because there's nothing worse than being that provider with a child who doesn't survive to think, were it not for having this tool, we would have had a better outcome. I get it.
And he's not breathing.
When tubes come back to the rigs, children who have been dying will no longer die.
He stopped breathing?
And they will go home to their families to play.
Okay. Is he breathing now?
They will go home to their families to grow up. They'll go to school, they'll have jobs, they'll have families of their own.
You really believe that?
I believe that, I know it.
Well, as you might imagine, we're getting a lot of response to this story tonight. Doctors in San Bernardino and 2 fire departments are starting to examine cases where children's lives were saved and the impact this new technology is having on the safety and effectiveness of those procedures.